Welcome, welcome, welcome to the village. I am your girl, Dr. Roz, CEO and founder of the Village Leadership Group, LLC. And
Y'all know me, but I'm Coach Williams. I'm the content supervisor for the Village LLC.
all right, now we're here to encourage, inspire, motivate, teach leaders. That's what we're about. The Village Leadership Group is a community of educators coming together to support one another, right? We are a collaborative group, and it's all about sharpening our skills as leaders because we believe teacher leadership is a mindset, not a position. So, again, welcome to the village. We're here to chat, to inspire, to encourage, like I said. So, be sure to share your ideas, your questions, your concerns, your tips and advice within the village, right? Together, we're Village Strong.
Like that.
Today, we have a guest who have a lot of experience.
A lot.
Dealing with training professionals, even educators, as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've talked about it a few times within the village, but normally we have the conversation with other educators and school leaders. Today, we have a professional who have years of an experience in government, working in the community, the NAACP.
You giving all her stuff?
I'm sorry.
Bring her on. Bring her on. Okay.
Again, I gotta let the people know that we have someone great. This is a village elder. You know, in the village, you have people that you can go to for wisdom, who can really tell you great knowledge and give you some pearls of wisdom.
Okay.
So that's who we have today. So you want to, stay tuned. But anyway, Mrs. Wilson, Janice Wilson, welcome to the village.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Roz and your Coach Williams. I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes.
Thank
you. You have a lot of experience. Yeah, and I love to share. I love to educate. I love to talk. So this is exciting for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining the village. Again, it's all about, sharing our wisdom with others and encouraging our teachers, especially during this time, during the pandemic. And so I want to hear from you. I know you have done it all, and we want to hear, who is Mrs. Wilson?
Give us a little bit.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Well, let me start with saying that I am retired CIA. So everything you say will be picked up in my earrings. Okay. A little CIA joke. I spent 35 and a half years with the agency working in HR development and HR management. My most recent position before I retired from the agency, I was one of 5 diversity program managers for the CIA.
Wow.
Very challenging position because I retired almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
Really?
So, you know that diversity's been around a while, but I have to be honest and say that management and CIA, for a large part, unfortunately, were not ready to talk about diversity. They shied away from anything that looked like race or equity. You know what I mean? So it was a challenge, but I did manage that program for over 5,000 people.
Wow.
In addition, my role in HR development was I designed courses for the agency. I taught diversity and inclusion. I taught customer service. I taught prevention of sexual harassment. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And not only did I teach agency employees, which took me to sites like Warsaw, Poland, and Guam, and tough assignment, right, Guam, and England and France and Germany and lots of places that I wouldn't probably take myself, but I did teach agency employees all over the world, literally.
Wow.
And here at home, yes, in the States. And
we get international advice.
Yeah, I had a wonderful career with the agency, I have to say. I was able to move around within the agency over 35 years, applying for positions, growing, not just in grade, and moving up the ladder, but in experience. So I'm grateful for the 35 and a half years I
Wow.
spent in the
Wow.
agency. So
So
once I,
tell us a little bit about your work with the NAACP and also your
yes.
work in the community and working with schools as well.
Oh, yes. Well, the NAACP, I've been with the Charles County branch, is where I live, Charles County, for over 20 years. And this is kind of funny. The second meeting I attended, the president appointed me the education chair for the branch. Second meeting.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where I really it kind of helped me promote my interest in education. I've always been interested in education, but with that, I work with the superintendent. I had the education committee. Where I had a meeting with the superintendent of Charles County Schools just Tuesday. She called me in to talk about, kind of get the pulse. She's a new superintendent. So, but with the NAACP, yeah, I managed the branch here in Charles County. We have 14 committees that I manage, people, and it was a challenge, I have to say. But
Wait, didn't she say she was retired?
No, she's not really retired.
not at all.
She's retired from the
Yeah,
One thing.
CIA, but
exactly.
she's working.
But
That sounds like
nonstop.
teachers.
Exactly.
yeah,
Love
and
it.
I do a lot of community work. I'm also a part of the diversity advisory group for the College of Southern Maryland, working with the president there. I'm the newly elected president of the Charles County Civitan Club. Are you familiar with Civitan?
No.
No.
Okay, we chartered in 2017. Civitan International is 104 years old.
Oh wow.
And all we do, I love being the president. I love being a member. All we do is bring joy to the disabled community, the special needs community.
Oh,
We have
yeah.
picnics where we have a DJ, we dance with them, we have an ice cream
Yes.
truck. We've had karaoke parties. I was
Right.
able, to work with the local baseball team to get free tickets to take them to baseball games.
And
So that's, Charles County Civitan. I'm
I was
also,
going to say this, just listening to
yes,
everything you've done, your jobs have been with diversity.
Diversity.
It's been so
Equity
diverse
and
and
inclusion.
yes, absolutely right.
Yeah.
I also work closely with the local baseball team here, the Blue Crabs here in Southern
Oh my
Maryland, to
Yeah.
try and excite young Black males to like baseball. Most of them
Wow.
are into football, basketball, not
Right.
a lot of interest.
Yeah.
So I tried to promote that through the NAACP and try to promote more attendance at games. I
Right.
was just elected to the ethics panel for the Charles County Public School
See?
System. And I'm I'm
We are
also,
so delighted you could fit us in your schedule.
oh, you're right. And
Oh
one
my
more thing, I
goodness.
mean, there's plenty I do, but I have to mention two more things. I was appointed by the governor to I'm a part of the judiciary nominating committee to select judges in Charles County.
Wow.
Wow.
That's exciting. That's
Yes.
good
See, this is
experience.
who we have in the village,
That's why
right?
they need to be here.
Y'all need to join the village and then you can hang out with Mrs. Wilson.
Yeah.
All right.
And certainly, last but not least, I am a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. Yes, sorors. I love it. So, and I ended up, I went over Trinity College in the district. Is where I graduated from my education. We had to join up with, talking about diversity, we had to join Catholic University to even have a line.
Wow.
Because at the time, years ago, Trinity didn't even have diversity.
Yeah.
Didn't even have African American students. So we had to join
Wow.
with Catholic. But I ended up being the chapter president, iota.
Of course.
Of course she. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
She has to be the president.
Exactly. Give me all the work, okay? But
All
anyway,
right,
that's
so-
just a snippet. Yes. Go
Just a
ahead.
little. That was just a little bit.
Yeah.
She got more.
So
Yes.
this is why we asked village elder Mrs.
Mhm.
Wilson to join the village today so she can pour into the village, pour her wisdom,
Yes.
inspire us, encourage us, give us some tips, give us some advice. All right. So
Yes.
thank you, Mrs. Wilson, again for joining us and taking some time out in your busy schedule to pour into us. So we want to start the discussion by just giving some some encouragement
Yeah.
and some joy to our teachers, right?
Most
So what are some things that some good news? Share some good news. What are you seeing as you're out there
Oh,
in the community? Share
yeah.
some good news.
I want to applaud every single teacher. I one thing I didn't mention was I was a substitute teacher when I first retired. I
Yeah.
wanted to go into the schools to just experience for myself what was going on in the schools. And it's kind of funny. I had my mind made up. I was going to do third grade only because I had figured out, oh, they've been in school a while. They'll be calm. I'll be able to handle that, right? So I
Okay.
started with elementary school, but I ended up doing middle school and high school
Oh,
because I figured it out. I said, kids are kids. These are
They
young.
are.
exactly.
So I cannot, I love the challenge of high school, and it
Mhm.
was a challenge at times, but I loved it. But I applaud all teachers. That is not an easy job, especially today with all the challenges of
Mhm.
COVID and such. But I have to share this good news. I'm a part of the Middleton Elementary engagement team, and I
Yeah.
applaud the principal there. He has pulled together parents, community leaders,
Wow.
pastors. I was so excited. There are 3 Black pastors a part of this group, and through that, we're hoping to bring in more Black males into our schools
Yeah.
for the children to see, diversity and Black men speaking to them, just being in their presence. So that's a really, really good thing that's going on in the county. We have a really good school system. Charles County schools are top notch for the
Yes.
most part. I mean, we have the same kind of issues that any school district, any organization really
Right.
has. You're going to have that. But we have a lot of dedicated teachers. We really
Mhm.
do. We
Yeah.
really do. So I
And
applaud.
that's one of the things I want to say as well. We've talked about teacher burnout, but teachers
Mhm.
all around the nation are really stepping up and
Yes.
getting the job done.
Yeah.
We're rolling up our sleeves and really serving our students to the best, of our ability.
Yes.
So kudos to all teachers, all school principals, school
Mm.
leaders. We're
Yes.
thinking outside of the box to
Yes.
get the job done. And I want to piggyback what you're saying about the pastor and different community
Yeah.
Yes.
members. That's one of the things that I'm noticing is that more people, more parents are getting involved.
Yeah.
More community members are calling the school and say, "How can
How
we
can we
help?
help?
Yes.
What do you need?"
Mhm.
Mm.
So I think that's one of the
Your
things.
bright spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yes.
I want to piggyback on both of you guys. But
Mhm.
back to the teachers, I have seen teachers be torn out the classroom, go virtual, right? Come back, do hybrid, do a little bit of both. Now bring all the kids back.
Yeah.
And what did they do? They did it.
Mhm.
That's right.
Like it's crazy. I can't think of any other job where they transition you so quickly.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
they did it. The
Yes.
kids were engaged. Even now, the teachers are now in this new atmosphere with technology, and they're getting it done. Even our students, I'm gonna applaud them. They haven't even, they haven't had a regular school year in a few years, and we're having some growing pains, but they're
Right.
in it. They're
Right.
doing it. They're getting
Right.
it done. The leaders, the community, they're really trying to get behind this and really trying to support. So that's the good news.
Yes.
And I'm excited to continue this work.
Yes.
It's different, but I'm excited,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it takes commitment, and
Oh, yeah.
teachers go into that profession. I'm going to say 95% of teachers go into teaching because of their loving, giving hearts.
Right.
That's why I applaud them. That it takes a lot, especially juggling a family, you know, You have a husband, a spouse, a significant other. You've got your own things to deal with. You've got maybe considerations of elder care.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that teachers go through, but for them to show up every day and love kids and nurture them and give them their all, I just, my hat's off to teachers.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
thank you for
Look,
that.
thank you.
And if I could add another good thing that's going on, I think is just vital to the success of many students is mentorship. I have been mentoring students for 14 years. I
Wow.
started since I retired. I have to tell you this quick story. A little boy, I was substitute teaching a science class. He's 9 years old, very disruptive, as you know, sometimes they can be. Very
Look,
smart.
what?
Yeah, right. Shocking, right? He's very intelligent little boy. And so I left that class and I came out and the vice principal said, Miss Wilson, would you like to mentor a student here? I've got a challenging student. And I said, well, yeah, maybe, what's the time commitment? And he gave me that little boy.
Of course.
The one I had just left. But let me tell you, that was 14 years ago. That
Wow.
little boy is now a young man. He's in the Navy and he's driving the ship, navigating the ship. Yes, he called me.
Wow.
He called me 3 weeks ago. We're going to be having lunch or dinner.
Oh,
Yeah, so I have a little girl that I'm mentoring right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
I can't tell you how important it is to
it is.
mentoring, how it works. It really does work. And one other thing about children, you can never ever give up on a child.
Right.
You can never give up. You don't know, could be a slow grower, like a seed in the ground. You look and you think, oh, this seed's never going to blossom, never going to grow. But you got to watch it. You got to
Gotta keep
nurture it. You
watching.
got to water it, and you'll see it pop up and be the most beautiful flower or plant you've ever seen. So
Yes.
I don't think you can ever give up.
right. And that's a good segue to our topic today when we're talking about equity, because that's what equity is all about.
Yeah.
Trying to develop a
Different way.
relationship with the
Yes.
student to really get to know who they are and reach them, reach them as far as where they are, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
making sure that you do all that you can to
Yes.
meet their needs.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't do that if you don't know the student,
Exactly.
right?
If you don't know that seed.
Oh, relationship building is everything.
Yes.
Mhm.
You have to build a relationship because kids have a way of knowing if you're real or not.
Mhm.
They know right away if you are sincere, if you care about them, and then they start to trust you. And
That's
you
true.
you can get a kid to do anything.
That's because you're listening. You're
That's
taking
right.
them. Yeah, you have to
Right.
listen.
And they
No, go ahead.
because they feel respected.
Right.
Oftentimes in the underserved communities, there's a tendency for people to think, oh, this kid's not going anywhere. They're poor, or they come to school different. Kids have a lot of challenges that they face. We don't even know half of them,
Exactly.
what they go through to get to that classroom. And so and when you talk about diversity and equity, there's a problem. I have to be real. In our society, there are racial issues that
Mhm.
that some teachers, well, we have to look at the teachers too. They're coming from an area where there was no diversity. They may have seen one Black person at 7-Eleven.
Mhm.
So they're
Yeah.
living kind of operating off of stereotypes.
Right.
Right.
We talk about stereotypes a lot in the training that I do. I've trained the police department down here. I've trained the local police town of La Plata, the town council. I've probably trained 25 different organizations all around.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
With all the organizations that you've trained, how I'm going back to the listening piece, what kind of tips do you give them in kind of reaching those different groups? Because I can only imagine,
Mhm.
if they haven't seen any other races, they don't know how they, the different cultural responses and things.
That's right. Well, a couple of things, a lot of things jumping in my head. But I use research. I share research. We do exercises. And when you talk about stereotyping, I do an exercise where I break the class into groups and I come up with a category of people. I might use Black males, Hispanic
Okay.
females, people from the country or people from the South. And I
Mhm.
ask them to write down every stereotype they've ever heard about that group.
Mhm.
You don't have to believe it. You don't have to live it. We're not being
Right.
accusatory. Just write it down. Have fun. Put it on paper. And it is just amazing what comes out. And so then I ask them, if you're a part of this group, how does that feel? For
Wow.
people to look at you that way. It's a
Mhm.
powerful exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
that is
very
one.
powerful.
Yeah. So I
And,
start.
that is something we can do in the in the
Yeah.
schools because
Yes.
when we think about equity, it's not just a race issue. We also have
Right.
our students, transgender students,
Mhm.
Yes.
LGBTQ plus. We
That's
have
right.
all these different groups, like you said, the poor, the rich, middle class, whatever. You know,
Special needs. Yeah.
Yes.
students coming from the city, students coming
Yes.
from the south, teachers coming from different backgrounds, and we all,
Yes.
like you said, have our own biases. We really need to bring it to the
Bring it to
forefront, yeah, and
yeah.
really be transparent, honest about our biases, and really think about, well, what do I believe
Right.
about these students?
And
That's
is
right.
that being perceived in my classroom? You might not think that you're being offensive. You might not think,
That's
you're
right.
coming off. But like you said, bring it to the forefront. Like, hey guys, when I said
Yeah.
this, how does that make you feel?
Right.
I like
Yeah.
that.
It's an amazing exercise.
Mm.
And you can be a creative in the categories of I do LGBTQA group. I do,
Mm.
disabilities and all the
Mm-hmm.
races. It is just phenomenal. And so when I ask people, how does that feel? And people get real with that exercise, okay?
I bet.
They
Right.
get it. It's sort of like therapeutic where the participants
Mm.
put it all out there,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to Black males and so I asked them, where's that come from? You know, if you have a friend, a good friend, Black male, do you think these things about him?
Right.
No, you don't, because you get to know him. See, I
Exactly.
also do, fear plays a part also. When you talk about diversity, inclusion, fear plays a big part.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know someone, you may fear them. It's a fear of the unknown.
Right.
But
Right.
when you
Right.
get to know people, then it breaks down those barriers. It really does. So,
Right. That's good. That's good. I love it. So one of the things that you talk about, we said listen, but
yes,
also you said respect everyone's voice. So tell
Mm.
us a little bit more about how we listen and how we
yes,
respect
yeah,
everyone's voice.
yeah. You have to listen to hear. You have to listen to understand. You have to listen beyond the words being spoken. And that's where I think respect comes in. You have to see every child as deserving of all of your attention equitably.
Mm.
You have 2, 3 kids. You want to treat them fairly, but you don't treat them equally because
Right.
different kids have different needs.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say I'd love for every teacher, and many of them do this already, to see that child in front of you as your own child. And
Yeah.
what do you want for your child? How do you want their teacher to treat them? You want equity for your child. So if every teacher could see it that way. But see, there's an issue with diversity is one thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Diversity is one thing. It's okay to have the diversity, but inclusion is the real issue.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
Look, say
can
that
be in,
again.
well, yeah, inclusion. I can work and say I get a job with the CIA. I'm a Black female and I get a job with the CIA. Yeah, that's good that they hired. They got their diversity numbers up. But if I sit there all day and feel isolated, if I'm
Right.
excluded when everybody's going out to lunch or everybody's
Right.
going out to
Right.
play golf, I'm not a part of that, then I'm just
Exactly.
there, you know. I'm feeling isolated. I'm not
Right.
feeling included. So same thing in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
People have to feel you cannot. I know you've got the third of the students who are top notch, on point. You got that third in the middle who, a little iffy. And then you have the third who are disruptive, okay? But
Mm-hmm.
you've got to pay just as much attention.
Mhm.
So what sometimes, Roz, you guys, if you're a teacher, Coach Williams, you know that you spend 95% of your time with the bottom disruptor.
Woo,
Right,
girl.
right.
But see, now you have an issue of the
I've
high
actually did.
performers are feeling left out,
Yep.
neglected.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
they might start acting out.
Exactly.
that's right. There's a lot of challenges, or lose interest.
Right.
That's the last thing you want. But there's just so much. I mean, this broadcast can't cover it all.
Listen.
All right. So one of the things I want you to do as well is give some other tips that we can share. And one of the things that you talk about for parents, when you say do not wait for a bias to occur, but be proactive. So tell us about that.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So things happen. It may not be biased, but it could be anything that happens in the classroom. But the most important, and I know this works, I've been an involved parent and I see a lot of involved parents, okay? But the more you know and are familiar with the child's teacher, the better your child is going to fare, the better they're going to succeed in school, because you've built it's back to relationship building. You know the teacher, you can feel comfortable texting the teacher or emailing the teacher or however you decided to communicate, to just check in.
Mm-hmm.
And that teacher, once they get to know you, they'll think twice about being, biased towards your child or try something. And if it happens, you address it head
Right.
on. You
Exactly.
don't let it fester. And you don't go on social media, keyboard
Right.
warriors, hitting that send button and getting it all out. Because the other tip I would say is, and we have an issue in Charles County, I have to say, with the lack of parental engagement. Our
Mm-hmm.
PTO meetings are sad. I have to be honest. People talk a lot on Facebook, but they're not at a board meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I would say about that is, you know what? I don't think a lot of people realize they have a voice.
Right.
They don't realize they have a voice. They don't realize the importance of going to a board meeting, signing up for those 3 minutes and asking questions or
Right.
being
That's
engaged.
the other side of listening. you
Right.
have to talk too. You have to communicate.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So that's another thing. I am, what I didn't mention in my bio kind of introduction was I'm working with a Dr. Gammons to open the second charter school in Charles County, and she
Wow.
has asked me to be the coordinator for parental engagement and community partnerships.
Of
I can't
course.
even write down everything.
So that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my meeting with the superintendent, we talked about it. She's all for charter school. She worked in a charter
Wow.
school before coming to Charles County. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
but parental engagement is, I don't understand why some parents don't realize you engage with your child, you have to engage with the school. The schools with your child sometimes more often, I mean, they spend more time than you do.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah, so
So important. So important. So we've learned so much. So when we're talking about making sure we have equity in our schools, we want to make sure that we're focusing on building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
yes,
That is basically the
critical.
bottom line.
Right.
It's
And it
critical.
goes both ways.
That's
It does.
right. And it starts at the top too, because when you talk
Mhm.
about equity in schools, there are financial barriers. There's finances. When you look at, there's
Right.
school systems who don't have everything they need. And that can cause some real economic issues
Mm-hmm.
in the community. If
Mhm.
your students are not exposed and don't have the proper, financial backing and the books and the tablets and the, high tech programs and such, you're sending them out in the world at a disadvantage. So
They
that's
have
a
to pay.
fight. There's never enough money, right? There's never
Mm.
enough financing for
Ever.
education, which to me, education is everything.
Well,
Yes.
that's it right there.
It's everything.
Hashtag Education is everything.
Really strong.
Yes, early childhood learning, pre-K, that is critical as you.
Right.
So critical.
I'm
So critical.
I'm talking to the choir. But
No, you're just talking to the village.
I have to leave you with a quote. My
Go
mother,
ahead. We're
my
gonna get a
mother
quote.
used to say, when you talk about parenting and parental envy, my mother had this saying. She said, "The sins of the parents fall on the children."
Say it one more time.
That's pretty deep. The sins of the parents fall on the children.
We're
And
gonna have to have a whole nother
I was going to
village
say, that
section on
seems
that.
like.
I've never lost sight of that. My mother would tell me in raising my children, you talk to them, they hear you. They may not act like they hear you, but they hear you.
I hear you.
So you keep talking to them. You keep pouring into them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was funny. I have to tell you too. I had 8 brothers and 2 sisters.
Oh,
And some,
wow.
yeah, they're a family of 11. Good Catholics, right? So, so my mother, someone asked my mother, which was the easiest to raise, right? The 8 boys or the 3 girls? She said the 8 boys. I was like, what? She
Like,
said,
really?
yeah. You know what she said, how she explained it? The boys will listen to you. They may not do what you say, but they'll listen. She said the girls won't even listen. I was
Especially
like,
if their name is Janice.
yeah.
I can only imagine how you were growing up. But I appreciate you so much, so much. Thank you for pouring into the village. You are always available, and I appreciate you. I remember when you helped me, with one of my mentoring groups, and help teach my students about what was it, etiquette.
Oh, yes, yes.
She got all about. She
Right,
does so much. So thank you again for always being available to share your pearls of wisdom.
Yes.
And come back. Don't be a stranger to the village.
I would love that. And thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed our village elder, Mrs. Janice Wilson. Oh my goodness. She's supposed to be retired, but as
You guys can see, she's not.
But she's always in the community and giving back. And that's what I love about the people who join the village. They're willing to serve. And that's what it's all about. Giving your share, pouring into the village, and collaborating, right? That's what
teamwork.
That's what we're about. Building this collaborative community where we're pouring into each other, right? And making sure that we are better. So thank you for joining the village today. Thank you, Coach Williams.
No problem. Don't forget to tell them where to go find us at.
Oh, wait, of course. Make sure you continue to follow the village on Facebook and Instagram at the Village LG. And don't forget, teacher leadership is a mindset, not a position. See you next time.
Bye, y'all.